this. I just had one piece.
I mean, I really do hope I'm going to taste a little bit more of your food today, but I gained 2 pounds eating that. Anywho, it's Sunday. Welcome back, Friends After 40 podcast. We spent the evening last night here at the Richie's Palace.
I wouldn't call
Hanging
it that.
with some family.
The family was over.
Rich and friends stopped by.
There's a whole lot of friends over 40 here last night.
Yep,
Yeah.
a lot of people.
It was good, though. It was fun.
It was good.
Yeah. You know what? I was like, I know May is going to be busy for all of us. Yeah. And so when the window opened, when one friend was available, I said, well, maybe someone else, right? And so it just kind of turned into a small get together. But it's good because now I'm like, okay, so we're good for a little bit.
You got it
right?
done, right?
Yeah.
Now you can, like maybe July.
You got it in?
It's always good to see,
Everybody.
our family. It always makes me happy. But
It was fun.
Yeah.
Well,
I had a good time.
I'm glad you got it in.
Got it in.
Yeah, we were able to get in a dinner the other night with another couple friends of ours, and so we feel good about that.
Yeah.
About box checked.
Right?
Not for the sake of box checking, but
yeah, but it's like it's good to get caught up. You're like you're thinking about them. You're like, oh, I need to
Reach out.
Yep,
keep
and see
in
when we
touch.
can meet
Yeah.
up, and so it's good.
let me ask you: would you, with your family, what's the level of information you share with folks?
I'm kind of weird, I think, because I can share a lot with someone I barely know, and then share very little with someone that I know well.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because you're never going to see that person again and you don't give a F what they think about you.
That's probably true,
why, right?
Right?
I think so.
I mean,
I've done it.
And then there's a part of me that kind of, there are just certain things that are not off limits for me.
Like,
I don't like bathroom stuff. I don't really care.
Oh, my goodness.
so wait, do you shit with the door open or closed?
Okay, so the door is closed, but I'll be honest, it was a thing when we first started living together. He'd be like, "Would you close the door?" And I'm like, "But I want to talk to you."
Yeah, I was
I'm like,
the
"This
same
is a
way.
great time. I've got a few minutes."
Oh my
Yes,
God.
I would also poop with the door slightly cracked, ajar. Why not?
Jar. What's wrong with that? He
wrong
thought
with
it was
that?
totally
See,
disgusting.
Yeah, James wasn't feeling that either, but I thought it was okay
It's not,
when we were
it's-
living in the Bronx.
There's so much wrong with that. It always reminds me of the scene from Friday when his father's taking a dump.
Oh.
And he's
Greg!
Greg, get in here!
Oh no!
And then
Put up with your for 30 years. You can put up with my for 45 seconds. Something like that.
Damn, James, that was a good.
That was one of his favorite movies. This probably is one of his
listen,
favorite movies. Yeah.
45 seconds.
but that's Janine. She'll come out of the bathroom too and share what went down.
Yeah. Oh my God. The other day, remember?
We're good.
Okay.
The audience is good too.
I mean, we want to know now. I mean, don't leave us
We
hanging.
really don't. We really
So I
don't
was
want to
at
know.
work, and you know what? I'm pretty regular. I was at work, and I had even pooped. I had texted him. I said, "Damn, I have to poop." It was like 3:00. He said, "Go poop." I said, "Nah," because I knew this was not your average poop. I was like, I can't do this at work.
I think you're sharing too much right now.
I mean, so I got home. I gave him a kiss. I beeline to the bathroom.
Jesus.
Right. I come out, and I was like, I must have lost about 3 pounds right now. I said, I would not go in there.
That does not-
You need to let it. That bathroom needs a minute.
Are you a
Does
public
not
pooper?
sound attractive at all.
Yes.
I
But
can't.
only if I have to. It's not it's not by
so why
choice.
didn't you go to work?
Because I knew what was coming. I felt it.
I am not a public pooper.
And
oh
I
my
was
God.
like,
I mean, I would be sweating. All the things would be happening. I'm getting cold. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. Oh my God, what is happening? And I would wait. I would probably shit my pants, but I don't like pooping in public areas.
Do you know how many stories I've gotten from Ramon about his public pooping?
That's
Because he had to go.
those are funny stories. That's
They
not
are
me
funny.
oversharing.
But they're gross. They're gross though.
They're not gross. So
Like,
I
what's
don't
the
know.
worst place you pooped?
So this is the topic of today's discussion. TMI. TMI. First and foremost, listener, viewer, I'm going to apologize right now, right out of the gate, for what you're about to
Your
go through.
discretion.
I shared with you guys last week that there was some other podcast being recorded at Spotify Studios, which we're open to going to, by the way, if you're ever interested in inviting us over to Spotify Studios. And they were talking about there was different tiers of poop, and I'm like, I'm not really
Different tiers.
into yeah. Let's not get into
Okay.
it, but
You don't have to.
like, it's just not something
That you
I
you
care
wouldn't share.
to share or hear about in some of this. But to each his own. I mean, there's wild things online.
I mean, I could talk about poop.
No.
But yes, we have heard your stories. Like,
They would just
talk about prime timing.
Anything we've ever done in the show ever goes viral. This would be the one thing I don't want to go viral.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Okay, we should move on.
We'll
then.
put it in the vaults and lock it. Okay, so what else?
Well,
It
so
might-
sharing with friends.
Okay.
What about you, James? Do you share a lot?
James doesn't share a lot.
No, I don't share. I don't overshare.
Yeah.
Can you start with sharing? Do you share though before you get to oversharing?
Well, define sharing and oversharing, right? Like, I could tell, and we could sit here and talk about our day, and I
Yeah.
could talk to people about the day.
That's nothing.
But you don't
That's
That's
get
like
nothing,
level
right?
one.
That's kind of par for the course.
But you don't get personal.
No, I don't get overly personal unless I'm like struggling and maybe I need a little bit of help somewhere. If I need a little bit of help, I'll reach out to Richie. I'll reach out to others to see, are you dealing with this crap too?
Or when he's on
your
vacation, because
spouse.
vacation
And-
James is different from this James.
Yes.
So vacation James, you kind of overshare or share.
Oh, because he relaxes.
He relaxes. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess there is something to be said for, it's about who you're around, who you're comfortable with, even doing the oversharing, because it's just that. If you're comfortable with them, you can share maybe some more personal information, because you have to think through, well, who's going to hold it against me? Who is going to judge me? Who's going to think about me differently in the next interaction? Who is potentially going to actually say my business out in public
But
to
who the hell are
somebody
you
else?
hanging around with?
I know. I'm like, who are you
It's not,
sharing with?
but look, those are the things. I mean, you and there's tiers of friends. So you're with coworkers, right?
Yes.
You don't want to say certain things to
Yes.
coworkers
Agreed.
that are going to
Right.
leak out. They're going to get into other conversations inadvertently.
Yep.
Because there are times where, people are just like, oh, I heard a funny story someone was telling me, and they're like, well, it's not a funny story because I was actually telling you something personal. You might have found that funny, and now you go ahead and start to engage somebody else.
Yeah.
So therefore, I err on the side of less is more.
Caution.
So that's what you practice.
Be cautious about what you say around who you say it. Other than the ones you can absolutely say it and not get judged by it.
But then if that's what you practice, is it hard to turn it off?
Right.
Hard to turn off.
What you've been practicing?
Right.
No, because if what you've been practicing is actually pretty middle of the road, then you shouldn't have to worry about turning it off, because it's a safe place. If you're oversharing all the time, then you got to worry about, oh, I might have just overshared to the wrong
But
person.
is it oversharing or just sharing? Because there could be a difference, right? You can overshare where nobody wants to hear about your, daily pooping schedule. But then there's also sharing about what you did this weekend, right?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. There's different tiers of sharing and oversharing.
So where do you land with that?
Like everyone else, I think it just depends who you're with.
I guess.
Do you feel like you share more with Lisa than most other people?
Of course. Yeah.
As a man, though, do you feel like it's easy for you to open up, like with Ramon?
Is it easy for me to open up with you? Yes, that is very easy to do.
Yeah.
You're in a therapist chair now.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel?
About sharing?
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of what it is I'm sharing. I mean, like, things I'm okay with sharing, I think I can share with closest of friends, like my inner circle. What is it that I'm sharing?
I think it's everything I just
Not you
said.
pooping.
Right?
So, I mean, I feel like sharing is caring.
Sharing.
I
It
don't-
is.
I'm not, and I've shared a lot of my life and things that happen with my friends. I feel like it's okay to share. I'm not a like social media sharer. Like I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
share
Yeah,
the
for sure.
things that I have going on in my life
Yeah.
on social media. I think that's probably where I draw the line. I don't know how you guys feel. You used to post a lot of
I don't
the
post
things
anything.
that would be going on in your life, and you really slowed that down a bit. I know that I started off. A friend put me on to Instagram. In fact, he forced me to get into Instagram, and then I would post a lot of things going on in my life, and that type of sharing actually ended a friendship because I don't know if it was FOMO or if it was just couldn't deal with.
You having your own life
And having
Yeah.
other friends.
and
I
having
mean,
other friends.
we're pretty social.
So
I mean,
so in that sense, I stopped sharing. I just stopped sharing
yeah.
from using that medium.
Yeah. Such a shame too, because you're so funny.
I know.
I know.
I try.
What it is, what it is. I'm pretty private. So for me, like just probably why being a therapist is it works well. I am good with listening. I'm okay with sharing,
Except
but
to me. But
well, I mean, I'm married to you. You know all the things about me.
we go on vacation and Janine's
talk to anyone.
spilling all the beans. She's
What
Well,
beans
she's
did
not
I
going to see them
spill?
ever
It's
again,
like-
so it
Yeah,
doesn't
what
matter.
beans did I
I
spill?
don't know the beans.
I didn't spill
the baked
any beans.
The baked beans,
the barbecue
I didn't
beans.
spill any beans.
those pinto beans.
I'm usually asking questions because I'm the curiosity in me is like, it's like, overload. But you know what's interesting is that I also use it as a point of distraction, so people are not asking me questions because sometimes I don't want them knowing my business and I don't want to lie, so I flip it
Why do you feel you have to lie?
Yeah.
because I don't want them in my business.
So just tell them mind the fucking business.
You understand? It's
you-
it's a tactic that I use sometimes, and I use it in therapy also. And
Well,
I
they're
know
not really
it's
supposed
very
to be asking
easy.
you any questions.
Yeah, but it's natural to be curious,
Yeah.
right? So I get that. When you're in therapy, you are expected to be somewhat of an open book. Like if your body had a door, you're opening that door to a stranger, right? And so naturally, people are curious about, well, who the hell are you?
Right.
Are you married? Are you single? Like all these things,
It's none of your business.
right? So I can't really do that. But there's ways to navigate that. But ultimately, it's me turning it back to them. And some of the questions I'll answer because I think it's helpful.
Right.
You
But
know.
you don't open the door for them to know everything about you,
No,
which they shouldn't.
no,
Yeah.
no. But I get that, if I'm meeting with a couple, they want to know, am I married? Because they're looking to relate, right? So sometimes I offer that freely. I'm like, yes, I'm married. I have kids. I understand. I work full time. My husband works full time because those things are helpful to them, right? But if it's not helpful and I see that, I don't answer it. I kind of dodge it and then I flip it back on them. But it's also something I do in real life, like in other instances, work relationships, some personal things. If I just feel like I don't want to, you can ask, doesn't mean I'm going to.
Share.
Right.
Right.
And so sometimes it's tricky how to get out of that. So I've gotten very comfortable with practicing how to turn that question back around or to put the attention back on the other person. And it usually works because people usually like talking about themselves.
Yeah.
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 And it's a great way to, right?
Yes. It's
But when
ahead.
it's time to share, I have to share, right?
not.
So that's the thing too. You need a balance. Like
Right.
if
and
you're
it's also
if you're
how
my close
much are
friend.
you sharing, right? So you
Yes.
don't always have to share a lot. You
Yes.
can just share whatever you want, and
Yes.
and it doesn't matter if they are okay with it
Yeah.
or not, because
Yes.
you know what? It's what you want to share.
Yes. But if you're supposed to be a close friend of mine, I understand it. It is also on me to be open at times too. I can't just be like, no, you tell me about you all the time. And then you look at me one day like, bitch, I don't even know who you are.
I'm like, why are we friends?
You don't say anything,
Yeah.
You did what? I don't know you.
I didn't know that, right? So yeah. And the social media thing, I was never attracted to.
Me
that
neither.
never was. But I don't like attention.
Me
so
neither.
That doesn't right. It doesn't surprise me about myself.
Yeah.
So I like social media. I love to scroll and watch other
The
people's.
voyeur.
Yes, total voyeur.
I am in that group. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I do. But I do. But you
I
know
love
what?
Voyeurism or just like
Facebook star.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about that kind of.
And is that something that you would share with your friends?
You know what I like to do?
Watch people.
Watch people from afar.
Yeah, I love it. I do. It's so interesting to me.
I mean, that's the thing. I think people sometimes overshare about their sex life. There are things that I could go without hearing about.
I'm like, who does that? In our friend group?
Oh no.
Or you just mean in general?
On
in
the
general?
on the
I
peripheral.
don't think we have any friends that overshare about their
I mean, I shared something with you the other night that someone else shared with me. And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
right.
you know, went out to dinner the other night and I was
That's
like,
right.
told a certain statement. I was like, oh,
Can't
Yeah.
get that out of my head
I
now.
was like, okay, that's a
Yeah,
pretty
I
specific
forgot about that
visual.
one.
Did it have something to do with his devil hole?
Wow. Devil. Why is it a devil hole? It's not a devil hole. Okay.
Okay, we need to now you need to just say what that is because a lot of people are not going to know what a devil hole is.
The devil hole is nothing. It's so this is crazy. We were watching some nature show and they were in the desert. Which desert was it?
Mojave?
Mojave?
No.
I'm like, that's
It
a
wasn't?
desert I don't know.
No, I'm being serious. I thought it was in Mojave, but it was a desert
Death
where
Valley. They were in Death Valley. And
Death Valley, yes, you're right.
Apparently there's water in the Death Valley. There's this natural I don't
Hole.
know,
I don't know what it
underwater
was.
huge lake. And they called it a devil hole. But then Janine made a joke.
Janine had a funny?
Janine had a funny and related it to a different hole.
Like a glory hole?
Yikes. And
Welcome to the not safe for work episode.
yes, not safe for work.
Not that anybody's
needs to go
hopefully not
at the
watching or listening
bottom
at work.
of this one, and it was burnt in my brain. So now
it's the devil
every
hole.
time it's the devil hole, like the booty button.
Oh, Jesus.
The booty button.
Well,
I don't
anyway,
know.
it
I
had
think sharing about sex, especially when you're in a relationship, married or not, you have to tread very carefully with that.
sure.
Yes. I think so.
I mean, with your close friends, you make like
Even still, you got to, because you, like, I might be okay talking about something and you might hear me say it and be like, I wasn't
you say that?
okay with
Yeah.
you sharing that. Even though it's about me or whatever, but, you know, like you have to think about, I think, the other person
I guess.
too, right?
You have to think about the other person.
I mean,
Stop
you
thinking
always
about
should be thinking
yourself.
about the other person.
Are we talking about sharing or are we talking about having sex?
Tomato, I mean.
So I have to say, I think this is on topic. So when we had our family over yesterday, the girls were talking, right? And amongst us is a single friend. And she was sharing, I think it's an old story, but an incident where she dated someone.
Oh, yeah.
And,
That was a
right,
great conversation.
that was a great
We need to
conversation.
have just like a girls'
Yes,
power.
that would be a lot of
We
fun.
need to do that.
And she shared, again, this was very old, the story. But she went back to the guy's place. They hooked up, and she was, I guess, disappointed. And she told him. She gave him the feedback.
Yes.
She
gave him the
basically was
feedback.
like,
That's it?
This is it.
You
You
done?
went left when you should have went right.
Now we don't know. We didn't
Feedback is a
pry,
gift.
right? Like we don't know
Right.
exactly where he fell short. We didn't pry.
I mean, I'm sure it
Maybe
was
he fell short.
timing,
I don't know. And you know what? She gave such an interesting
perspective.
right, because she was like, you don't understand. She was like, my hair was done.
Like,
my
she took
outfit was
time.
like on point. My like everything ready. She said I had on
She
nice
took a lot of
underwear.
time to
Right.
make herself
She was like, "For
presentable and
this?"
beautiful. And she was like, "What? We done? Like
Yeah.
that's it?
Yeah.
We finished?"
Right?
And he's like, "What do you mean?" And she's
Yeah.
like,
Of course he was offended, feelings hurt.
"Yeah."
But I said to her, I said, you know what? I bet if that man is married today, no complaints out of his wife
Right.
because you gave him that feedback. He probably needed to hear it because
So-
he didn't know.
Yep.
She made him better for somebody else.
That's what
Yes.
that would be my guess, right? Like
Yes.
we don't know, but she shared that with us yesterday, right? And so, because we're talking about TMI or how much do you share with your friends, and so she, you know, like she shared that. It was funny because she's funny. So the way she told the story was hilarious. But I thought it was so interesting. It was good. It was an interesting perspective, right? And she shared that with us, and from her perspective, right, the degrees of closeness
Right.
are different.
They are.
Right?
Yep.
She's closest to me. I mean, I've known her my entire life, right? And she knows you guys through me.
Yep.
And she shared that, but she shared it also in a way that she gave enough, not too much.
But not too much. Right.
We accepted what she gave. We didn't dig in. Like
Right.
I told you, we don't really know where he fell short for her. And we left it at that. And it was good. It was like just enough, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But we were just telling her, we were like, you know, you should call him now and just say you're welcome.
Word.
Because I made you a better person.
Yikes.
Right? Applaud that comment.
know?
Yes.
I mean, like, come on. Like, to me, that's like, she did something for that person.
It was
because
so good, right?
because he was thinking, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm
Yeah, he
that.
thought he killed it. That's
You know,
what she
like,
said.
I'm
She
this-
said he really looked at her with like a blank look.
Like,
he
huh?
didn't understand
Yeah.
why she would say that.
Because she also said she was like, he was a very good looking man. Like he was fit. He was like, but he fell short because he's probably banking on, oh, I look this good, right?
Right. Like,
Well,
I'm-
let me
I'm
ask
the
you something
catch.
then.
That's what I bank on.
Let me ask you something. I mean, she clearly walked in there with some level of expectation.
Absolutely.
And so should she be laying out her expectations early on? Because,
When it comes to sex,
well, I think my tongue-in-cheek comment is about feedback was given post. So
Why
in
not
order
pre?
in order to get better later, it's like maybe set some expectations from out of the gate.
I mean, if there's a tactful way to do that, I want to say yes.
I mean, is there a tactful way to deliver feedback post session?
Well,
Well,
here's
I'm
the
going
thing.
to tell you something. She also told us she kept in touch with him. He wanted nothing to do with her. She really wanted to continue to see him.
Right.
And he
But
couldn't
his feelings
handle-
were
Does she
hurt.
mentor him
couldn't-
now in that area?
His feelings were hurt.
No, she doesn't mention.
Is she a mentor
thing.
now?
You know, like, I thought what she was saying was so funny because she genuinely did not see anything.
She was like, did I say something wrong? And
Right,
we're
like she,
dying.
yeah, she was like, what was wrong with that? Because it was so honest.
It
She
was.
just felt like I'm being honest. I'm saying this thing.
Yeah, she used her inside voice outside.
Outside.
Yeah, that's what happened. And she was like, oh, what did I say?
You guys just explained the situation of when sharing the truth goes wrong.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, but he should have been open to it. He could have been like, you know what? What could have I
So,
done better?
I have
Let's
a
go
question.
again.
I have a question for the two of you. Do you feel like in that instance she shared too much?
No.
With us or
no,
him?
with him.
No.
No.
No, absolutely
No.
not.
And actually, what I said after was that I'm not going to get into it, but there's like a thing on the radio where they do something a little bit similar in terms of people giving feedback on dates or whatever, right? And of course, feelings are hurt left and right. But to a certain degree, I feel like if people could figure out how to do that more, right? Like, again, what are the words? We got to be really careful. But it might really help people because I think people, when it comes to certain things, not just sex, they don't know.
Right.
Right? And so sometimes we need to be told a very hard truth about ourselves, try and find a way to accept that, and then work to make that better if that's what we want to do.
Are you? Do you?
This is becoming an HBR case study.
No, I'm
the
laughing
two of
because
you-
sorry, and but I have to get this in there.
What, the
because
passport?
The passport, just right before you left. I said, Janine, oh my God. I was like, look at this passport photo of me.
Yo, she looks like another person.
I look crazy.
Is it
and
right
when
there?
when I say crazy, oh, we're not
Sorry.
putting that photo up.
No. I
No,
wanted
we're not
Ramon
putting the photo
to
up.
see it.
I'm
We're
going
not
to
gonna
share it
post
with.
Okay, I look
share it
like
with
I
Ramon.
am Jabba the Hutt, right?
Yikes.
Like I have
And angry. She's an angry.
I'm an angry
she's
person.
yeah.
I look like I was maybe like 500 pounds,
Yeah.
completely overweight. That doesn't even look like me. And she was
No.
like, so would you want me to tell you? I said, absolutely. You be like, Lisa, you starting to look like your passport photo. And
Because I was like,
shit.
how does that conversation go? Like,
Right.
you need to give me the script on the words to use to tell you if you starting to get back to that photo.
Yes.
Because how do you tell someone?
It's funny because another
right?
friend said that to me, looking back at photos from a man day where we get together, have steaks and cigars.
The men.
The
And,
men.
the men, well, it's man day.
Men.
And I think we were in the pool and we all took a photo. So he goes back, he looks at this photo, he's like, oh my God, how come nobody told me that I looked like this? He's like, if I ever get like this again, you
Tell
need to
me.
share that with me. And to your point, how do you share that? Which is probably lead into the question that I was about. Well, actually, the question I was about to ask you was, do you feel like you want someone to share something with you that would be thought of as unpleasant or unpleasant conversation? And how well do you think that you're going to take that?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it is dicey, right? Because you don't want to get your feelings hurt, but you also want the truth,
Right.
right? So I guess it also comes down to the level of friendships that you have.
Yes.
You know, because if I have just like a person that I see every once in a while and then she's going to come and be like, damn, bitch, you got fat. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like, no, you can't tell me that because you're not my friend like that.
It's like Janine's
But-
father.
But if Janine would have come tell me and she's like, yo, you looking like your passport, I'd be like, oh my God, what do I have to do to get right? You know what I mean? Like I would see it totally different. But so it does, I guess it is with the friendships that you have and how you hold them, you know, because I know that she's coming from a place of love and just like, you know, Lisa, where this person that I don't even talk to on a regular is going to come and say, so now I'm going to take offense to it, you know? So yeah. So it is the level of friendships and
But the
I
level
think
of,
so too.
the level of friendship also gives you like beer goggles. Like if you really care for someone and when I say care, to love them, right? Because I love my friends, you don't always see them in that light.
Right.
So that picture.
You
so
mean like your
when
friend in the pool that day?
Right.
You didn't
right.
see them that
so
way.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that. I saw him,
Your
the
friend.
him that I
Right.
always
Yeah.
see, not that image of him.
right.
And
Kind of like
even-
your spouse, right? They don't
even
really.
yeah. So when you
Yeah.
and I mean, if you love your spouse, when you see them, it's like they've always looked the same.
Yeah.
So so it's happening to you, but we're with you, and we're like you. This is you. Like this
Right.
is that was
Because
Lisa.
you're not looking at me physically, you know,
Right.
you just know me as,
Yeah.
you know, just
Right.
being who I am, just, you know,
Yeah.
like that. Well, I think that's why I would take offense to somebody who I don't hang out with because they don't know me that way. And then to say like, oh my God, you know, where,
Yeah.
you know, so there is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have one of the ladies in our friend group a few years ago went through a really bad breakup. She put on weight and made the same comment. Looked at a picture, right, and said to us, she was like, "If I ever get like this again, y'all bitches need to tell me, right?" And I get it. And the thing was, I didn't have beer goggles. I saw when it was happening, but I also understood what they were going through. Like in that moment, I'm like, am I going to lay this on you too?
On top of everything else.
Right. You're going through
Yeah.
such a loss right now. I know she needed to work through that. Right. And then I'm like, and then I'm going to tell you, oh, by the way, girl, you need to lay off
The bread.
all the things. Maybe you just fast for 5 days straight. Like, I don't, right. Like what I'm going to do that. So it's also, it was the timing. But you know, even when she got to a point where maybe I could have told her, she ended up addressing the situation on her own. But I was, you know, even thinking back, I'm like, would I have had the balls to even say,
No.
you know, like, hey, you know, I see things are better now. You know, like what are the words? So
I only have
I
one.
already told you what my words are. You're looking
Tell
like your
me.
passport photo.
your driver's license, whatever, right?
it
You're looking
is.
at a hot mess. We need to pull this together. But it's like, and I want to be that friend. I want to be able to say it, but I'm like, how do I say it? Because the truth is, I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, I think no matter how tactfully someone said it, my feelings would still be a little bit
Of
hurt.
course.
A little bit?
Absolutely.
I'm saying a little bit for the most tactful person. Okay, a lot of bit for the one that's not tactful at all. Because Clarence, my father, zero tact.
So how are you? I mean, it's an interesting discussion. So how do you handle? Obviously, maybe on a person by person basis, but
Yeah.
how are you preparing for someone on the other end of your conversation who is maybe a bit more sensitive to comments, is not as thick-skinned,
Yeah.
did not ask for your feedback, and actually never does?
Okay, maybe
I'm
you
gonna
can
tell
be
you
like,
how you prepare for that.
you can be like, I love you, and I see that you're going through something right now, and
I'm
bitch, you
worried
getting
about
fat.
Look at James. He's like,
No,
no.
not
He's
that
like
way?
that. That's
No.
We're
not
gonna
it.
kick this one
okay.
over to you, Richie.
All right. I guess I wouldn't be the person.
And mine
then.
is the complete opposite. Because I was gonna say avoidance.
Oh, Jesus.
Really?
That's almost just as bad as her comment.
I said the complete opposite.
It is the complete
How would you
opposite, but
do
it's
it,
just as
James?
bad. The question was directed
No,
to you.
I'm throwing it right back at you.
question
How
was
would you do
directed.
it?
I've
to you.
never had to tell anyone that.
So
I've
when
never done
Had
it.
to
When
tell
someone-
anybody what?
about my concerns for their weight or my concerns for their health. Have not had to, other than my father, to be quite honest, which is different. I really, and it's not because I haven't seen it or seen the need to. One, it is part of, they're not asking me for my opinion. And it's probably because they don't want it, because right? So I try to be careful with that, like giving my right. And I'm also not built like that. I'm not that person that's gonna be like, are you putting on a little weight? I'm not that person.
Tell me that all the time.
Shut up. I'm just not, because I know I'm sensitive about my weight. So I'm not gonna be that person. But look, where we are now, getting older, I think a lot of, especially our female friends, struggling with weight in different ways, right? And now people, and I think honestly saying, look, I'm really working hard. I'm seeing progress. I'm losing weight. If you see me getting close to that passport photo, please, if I look oblivious,
Send me
to
a
you,
note. Send me a text.
tell me something,
Yeah.
right? Like help me out. Don't let me get all the way back there.
Yeah,
right?
and then you know how hard it's gonna be to get back. No.
Yes.
So
So
Tell
you've
me
given me
word.
the green light,
I
and
gave you
I'm
the
gonna,
green light.
right? Yes.
But again, back to people who don't give the green light. So your question was, well, what do you do? How do
What
you?
would you do? Yeah, how would you?
So I would say the way you have to approach is you have to ask them if they're okay.
Yes.
Like you have to verbally ask them,
Yes.
like, look,
Are you? Yeah.
are you open to a little bit of feedback, like
Yeah.
as your friend
Yeah.
about
I'm concerned about you.
about something
Yeah.
Who's gonna
that I've
say
been
no?
thinking about?
They're gonna be like, oh my
Well,
God,
that's
what's
true.
wrong? What happened?
That's
You
people
fat.
say people.
But
still
that's my
say,
point.
People
That's my
still
point.
say what they think you want to hear. You know what I mean?
But my
And-
point
and now
is-
there's also, you spark some curiosity. Well, what is it that you want to say about me? Now I need to know how you feel about me. So yes, you can say, would you be okay if I shared something with you, or are you open to having a difficult conversation? And they're probably gonna say yes.
Yes, to
Even
being
though,
open.
yes
Yeah.
to
Yes.
being open, even though they're not.
Yes, and that's the tactic, is what I'm trying to
I
say.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It is.
Right.
It is.
That's
coming
the
from a place
tactic.
of concern.
That's the
I'm
tactic
worried
that
about
opens up the
you.
door
Yeah.
for someone who may
Yeah.
not have otherwise.
Have you ever had to have that conversation?
Have I had that conversation?
To me,
Stop it,
he said,
Ramon.
What did I say?
he said, Ramon, I think your breath stinks.
I've never said that.
What?
Have I said that before?
I don't know.
Did you say it was tart?
I mean, look, if we're hanging out and someone's breath is tart, and it's my duty to say something so that they're not going through the rest
That's
of the
a good
day.
look. I think
Actually, yes. One time
that's
you
a
did.
good look.
You said, I just
think
took
so.
some gum. Here's some gum for you too.
See how I did that?
There you go. I mean,
See how I did that?
Not
Flawless.
indirectly.
Flawless.
You did it indirectly, and then you picked up what he was putting down.
Listener,
right?
that is how you do it. That's actually how I do it.
But full
I
disclosure,
put it on me first, and then I give it back.
Honey,
and
where'd
then
you get that from? Let's just be clear.
it was a leadership development program I probably went through at work at some point, but because it all comes back to that.
Yeah.
Can you say, sometimes I'm stupid. And you're stupid too.
Yes.
I'm about to share. That laugh made me have to pee. Y'all can either pause or continue without me, but I gotta go to
Do you really gotta go? All right, so welcome back. As we had to take a little break. You good?
I'm
back?
good now. Woo!
All right.
Yikes.
Almost had a little accident there.
I don't know, but I don't want to share too much.
What was it, number
But
one
I
or
made it.
number two?
I made it.
You made it.
You made it.
Oh, remember
Congratulations.
Yes.
So every time I would be in the car with you, and you would put on, what was it?
It was Waze.
It was Waze. And every time we got to the destination,
The voice I
You're-
chose, he was British.
he was British, and he would go, "You made
made
it."
it.
Mwah, 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 mwah. And I was like, "What is that?" She was like, "Oh, that's just Waze."
Janine likes the car to do all
Do all
crazy
the things.
The car claps now when she
Yeah,
gets out
she
of
claps.
it. So
Oh.
I guess it's
That's
like
fun.
Because
when a
she's
plane
glad you out the
lands.
car, or
She's applauding me. She is like, go, bitch, go.
she's like, "Yes,
Yes.
Janine."
So I guess back to sharing too much. What are some of the other things? Well, not sharing too much, but how much do you share? What are some other things that you feel like, or you felt like you weren't comfortable to share, or some things you felt like were okay to share?
I think finances.
Oh man, that's a huge one.
I was gonna
Finances
say
are pretty big.
You're comfortable with sharing?
but
Well,
finances?
no,
Not share.
because again, it's kind of like
personal,
it's
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about who you're around.
Yeah.
And look, most people can kind of make heads or tails of what your financial situation is like
Yeah.
if they get to know you and they know where you live, they know where
Yeah.
you work, and all the things going on. But because this can go in any direction, right? You could talk about where you invest, what you don't invest in. You could talk about your who's got the 401k situation. You could talk about who's tapped into their 401k. There's all sorts of ways you can go with it. So it really does come back to, like, again, who do you trust and who do you not mind knowing your situation? And it goes back to my questions earlier. I was like, well, if I share my situation for some odd reason, if we're in the middle of that discussion, who am I sharing it with? What are they going to say about me? Are they going to judge? Are they going to share it broadly with anybody else? You kind of run through those things in your head all over again, right? But otherwise, there's the light part of the situation. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about buying that house, and we'll put down 25% on it so that you could do the computing in your head. So that's kind of the light information sharing.
Yeah.
I think that shines a light a little bit into your finances. And then there's like the really dark side where it's like, who's going to share that, their debt to income ratio is like 57% or something crazy like that, right? Those are the things you don't want to share. And then there's the other side of, like, you're maybe the well-to-do friend in the circle, or the well-to-do resident in a community, and you don't want to say certain things because it makes the other person feel really awkward, or makes them feel like they're not in the same, financial
Bracket.
situation that you're in, and you make people feel kind of weird about that, right?
Yeah.
And people shy away from you once those things start to happen. So
Yes.
you do have to be careful, even within your circle, even on the periphery of your circle, or even on the outside. You might offend people. You might be offended. All of the above. So
Yes.
my advice, if anyone's asking, don't talk about it.
I was just going to say money.
Period. Don't talk
But
about it.
money's always a funny topic, right?
It is.
Money's a funny topic, and to your point, you can make someone feel uncomfortable either way. If you're talking about your debt, if you're talking about how well you're doing, but I mean, there's this stigma built into discussion of money since we're young. You don't talk about money. You don't ask your parents how much money you make. You don't know your friend's financial situation. But there's so much to learn from your friends, especially if they're doing well, or even some of the failures that they've had. Like sharing some of those things helps to lift some people up. So I think that there's a lot of good that can come from sharing your finances. It's a difficult conversation. It's one of those things where it's like Lisa Passport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if someone is open to hearing about their finances, or open to hearing about my finances, I'm open to discuss it and talk it through. I mean, I can talk from being on both sides of the spectrum. I can talk about when I struggled, because we did struggle, and we can talk about when we were comfortable, because now we're in a space we're comfortable, obviously, because we pay for all this equipment to do this show. But I think that it's great to actually discuss
I agree.
about finances.
If you can get past different levels of income and just have a conversation about, regardless of what you make, right? Is there strategy? What are some things that you're like? We do have a couple of friends, I think, who are financially savvy, right?
Right.
They are planning for the future and meeting with financial advisors, and I'm like, that's some grown up shit.
Right.
we
Yeah.
need to start doing that.
It's like, is your house in a trust? I was
Yeah, like all these things. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I agree, because not that I had never heard of that before, but to hear that someone in your friend circle is not only thinking about that but doing it, it's like, okay, you know what? They're doing the right thing. Maybe we should not just start thinking about it, but
I
we
also
need
think
to
because
make a plan.
the way that we grew up, I know I didn't grow up with people knowing those types of things and
Yeah.
having those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it might be difficult for us to even like
too.
how do we approach that, right? How do we
Yeah.
talk about it? Because
Yeah.
we were I didn't grow up like that.
I grew up
So-
below the poverty line.
Oh, so did I.
So
You know, so we didn't have that. So hearing it from our friend group or your
Yeah.
friend group that we are the same age, and you're like, oh, okay, yes,
Yeah.
this is what I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
doing. This is how I'm supposed
Yep.
to be handling my money, putting these things in there. So yeah, it could be talked about, you know, without you feeling some type of way,
Yeah.
right? Because whether, you know, we are in a different income bracket than when we were growing up,
For sure.
you know, so it should be easier for us to discuss those things.
I mean, I don't want to derail us, because I could go down a whole other road with this, but yes, it should be easier. But I do think that there is a perception when your friends maybe realize you're in a different tax bracket too, that can sometimes be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this part of me that, you know, if I sense that, I
You shy
want
away?
to put them at ease.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want that, because we're still two kids from the Bronx, if you ask me.
right.
Right? It is. It's how we think. We don't, you know, we're still about working hard and doing what
Yep.
we have to do. We're not sitting back and chilling at all.
Right.
You know, that probably won't happen until for another
I don't know.
30 years.
It's a grind.
Right?
It's a
You know,
grind.
we're committed to that. We don't mind working, whatever.
Committed to
But I think if you know us, you know that. And
Right.
so it shouldn't be about how much we make. It's really, it doesn't eat. And then I mean that across the board, right? It really shouldn't matter, but the conversations around, well, what are you doing? How are you managing your money? How are you preparing for the future? Can we learn from
How
that?
are you setting up your
And-
children?
Yeah,
Those
because
are
there are things
powerful.
there that you're right. Like I don't know. I mean, I have to say, I was very fortunate, because my father, you guys know this, loves to talk about how, you know, he planned for his money and how he saved and did all these things. And he talked about annuities. I had no idea what an annuity was. And, you know, and I remember Ramon asking him early on, like, how did you know what an annuity was? And my father said he would ask He learned it from
He had a boss.
the boss at his job. That's what they were doing with their money. And he was like, well, they have money. So I'm
wanna
going to
be
do
like
that with my
Yes,
money.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
You know, so we are, I think in many ways still learning. We are financially illiterate.
I wish somebody had that conversation with my
Right.
father.
With your father? But, you know, I mean, I think money, it can be a great conversation. We can learn and grow from it. And then it could be.
But these are the conversations that you could be having with your children, right?
Yes.
Oh, we do.
And we do.
Yeah, but that's what I
we
mean
do.
because you were like, I wish my father would have told me that, but
Yeah.
now you're gonna take
No,
it
I
and
wish
move
somebody
it
told
differently.
my father because
Oh well, yeah.
because right now Janine's father he's set. He's taking care of himself. He's and my parents are still on the teat. So
They're okay,
not
though.
not my mom.
Yeah,
but
your mom is okay.
my
But I
dad
know- I
every
know
now
what
and
you
then
mean.
he
It's-
takes the temperature. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, you know, I could use
Wait. It starts with, hey, man.
Hey man.
Hey man.
Hey man. I need $500. What do you need $500 for? You're sharing too much right now. I want to go on a fishing trip. What? Huh? That's not a need.
Then he's like, first, I need you to get me to New Jersey. Then from there, I'm gonna stay with you for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then from there,
I'm gonna add a week.
I need you to add a week, and then I need you to get me to New England.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because then I'm gonna get on a boat.
That you're gonna pay for.
That you I need $500 for the boat.
You guys know my dad well.
And then
I mean, we've met him.
You tell the same
He
story.
left his crabs on my my back
Oh
porch.
my gosh, I totally
he did leave some crabs on our back porch years ago that sat there for overnight.
Not the STD.
No.
Yes. Actual,
Which is a shame because I
actual,
love crabs.
actual crabs
It was
from the
bait.
sea.
Crab.
That was bait. It wasn't the kind you eat.
Yeah.
Still, I love your dad. I do. But I'm going to tell you something. The lesson I've learned is how do we not become a financial burden to our kids? That's the lesson. And I think that ultimately is what my father has been trying to instill in me.
Which
Right?
is why I said wish somebody had that conversation with him. But it is what it is. So
Yeah. I feel like no matter what it is you're sharing, there are different there's a spectrum to it, right? And you're just kind of, I think we're all kind of like hedging a little bit.
I guess we
We're-
have to be comfortable in what we share.
Yeah.
Right? Bottom line.
Yeah.
You got to be comfortable around who you're sharing it with
Yeah.
and what you're sharing.
Yeah, right?
If that's the takeaway, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like it's a one size fits all kind of a thing.
not.
Even like if you have a person that, okay, well, I know with this person I can share all the things. I
No,
think there's
you
still
can't.
some, thought into, okay, I know if I say this, it's okay, but I want to tell them this and I got to really think about how I'm going to do that. And right. Like
Yeah.
it's still not this easy thing across the board. So
I mean, but you can even say that with your spouse, right? Because they're
Yeah.
like, baby,
Oh,
I love you, so I
absolutely.
need to tell you this. You know what I mean? Because there's still going to be a way.
but
that won't work.
What
that
do you mean?
won't work.
Why?
Baby, I love you, but I need to tell you something.
You tell me that all
Your
the
breath
time.
is start.
You tell me that all the time.
I'm stupid.
And I think with that, we're
So-
going to close out. Right?
You're stupid. You're stupid too. I just want to tell you that you're stupid.
I can't.
But don't worry,
went on
because I'm
way too
stupid
long.
too.
All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna close out some of our stupidity here and move on. So, look, Sunday afternoon. Thank you guys. Love you guys.
Oh my gosh. I think I need a
cheers.
refill.
We're gonna go
I
get
know
a
you guys need a
refill,
refill.
and we'll see you all back here on the next episode of the Friends After 40 podcast.